Can you please tell us your name?
Hello, my name is Rachel Gitlevich. I am an animator slash character designer with IATSE Local 839, the Animation Guild.
So, first question, did you come from a union household?
I came from a Soviet Union household, but not a labor union household.
Interesting, because there's some background there with unions and stuff in the Soviet Union. So, if not, what brought you to the union, or what was your first experience with a union?
I think I shocked Ben Spate when I confessed that I actually used to be anti-union, but I think it was a combination of the community garden that I was a part of in Brooklyn and just seeing an alternative organizational structure that was a completely horizontal. And I think also just like a general interest in economics, which became an interest in labor. And I was just like, oh, it was unions all along. Like all of the issues and gripes I've had, it was right here in the books. We need a union, like ASAP.
For sure. How has the union shaped your career?
It made me feel empowered. It made me feel like I actually had ownership over my life and my job because up until that point, I've always felt like, that I had no say in things, that, oh, I was so lucky to have a job in the first place. Like I shouldn't be complaining. And I think that, being part of a union makes me feel like, no, like this is where I spend like 80% of my waking life. Like I should have a say in what happens to me. Honestly, just feeling like empowered and being able to see your actions bring about actual like tangible change is just has been great. Yeah. So we're still negotiating our first contract. So like my coworkers are so much more like bonded together now. And I think that we have this like, like for a while it was like like while we were organizing, right? Like we couldn't go public yet, but it was like a shared secret and it was just like really exciting and like, holy shit, are we doing this? Can we do this? Like I feel like that whole moment, I think that has major implications beyond just, how it affects your job. I think hopefully people can see this and like take that philosophy and that empowerment to other parts of their lives.
That's all really awesome. I didn't realize you were so involved in like the organizing efforts and then especially behind negotiations and stuff. And I'd love to get into that. So I have two questions, just personal. One, which is, when did that shift happen for you? When you kind of went from realizing that you were just lucky to have an animation job to like, no, actually, you know what, I can affect some things here.
As somebody who suffered from chronic burnout, I think I just had a really huge, I don't know what I'm doing with my life breakdown. You wrap your identity and your career so like tightly together that it just becomes very toxic. And so many things that employers have been able to get away with over the last 50 years, right? Because like just like looking at the macroeconomic trends and like studying labor and like everything, it's just like kind of like all clicked into place for me. Like, oh, it's not me, it's the job market. Huh.
Mm.
To summarize, at a certain point, you just realize like something feels very off. What is it? Oh, it's a lack of a voice at the workplace.
So just getting back to your organizing stuff and negotiations, what was your role in that, and how did you sort of contribute to your local?
I was working at Titmouse, New York, and I was one of the founding organizing committee members of that branch. So we organized the shop and we flipped it. We were the first to organize outside of Los Angeles County, which was huge. The first one in New York. And like New York hasn't had a union since like the early 80s, I want to say. I think it was like the Cartoonists Guild, which is wild if you think about it, because New York is such a union town. So it's insane that like the animators have gone without a union for as long as we have. So it was really cool to be able to break that ground. And now we are in negotiations, but you know, the organizing committee and well, the negotiation committee now, they're incredible, they're amazing. It's surreal, like truly what a great bunch of people doing very good work.
Awesome. That's really, really exciting to know that you extend the 839 nationally, you know, and to be the pioneers in that, to be the first people organizing to do that is very exciting. Must feel great.
Yeah, got to go to the White House because of it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, now I remember who you are because I saw you at the White House.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and the one giving the speech in the green polka dot at the AFL-CIO.
Now that there's a local in New York, are people like running to come and join?
The way it works for 839 is we have to organize shop by shop. So like if you are an employee of Titmouse, you're automatically a member of the union. And once we ratify our contracts, that's when we will start paying union dues. Like that'll just be like part of the whole thing. So right now it's only for Titmice. So if other studios in New York want to become members of 839, then they would have to organize their shops. And it's one of those things where like you have to be an employee of a studio to organize the studio, unless you're like a professional organizer, like working with 839 or the IATSE. One of the best philosophies of organizing, or tenets, I think would be a more appropriate word, is it is super democratic. So if 90% of people are ready and willing to take the next step forward and organize, like only then do you do it. The minority cannot speak for the majority. Like in those situations, the union almost always fails. A union can only function if everybody acts in unison, you know?
Right.
And that's the literal mathematical magic of unionizing. You know, like you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. So if a group of workers feels like they don't want a union, then they don't have to unionize. You know what I mean? It's like literally the will of the people being enacted by the people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah. It's quite poetic, really. And what we're seeing right now, like with unionism, like spreading across the country, to me, it gives me chills, and it's like such a beautiful thing because of what you're saying. It really is like power of the community, and it is the one of the majority, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I could soapbox about this for like another
all day.
Really, yeah. So I'll cut myself short, but yeah, it's this kind of movement is like indirect retaliation to the macroeconomic trends that have led us to this point. Like we are literally reliving the 1920s all over again. So it's all about coming together as communities, figuring out who are your people, you know? And for me, animators are my people, you know? So I'm gonna do everything I can to take care of them because I know they got my back too.
Well, that's freaking awesome. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Organize your shop. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but the steps are simple, and you don't need any firmer knowledge. I'm gonna plug a few things. The Organizing for Power School, that was started by Jane McAlevey. She runs a yearly program called Organizing for Power. It happens during the summer. Definitely recommend everybody to take that course or read her books.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you're in a local and you feel like you've gotten there, there's always ways to strategize or learn how to negotiate or figure out, or just reaching out to your other local members, right? To know what's going on with their crafts or what they need.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's so great. Awesome. This has been a real pleasure and this has been an awesome interview. So I'm really
Oh,
glad.
good. I'm glad.
Yeah.